two-dimensional figures in position. Did you know that you can turn a triangle and a square so they are in different positions? Just watch. First is the triangle. Watch as the triangle turns and turns again. Let's watch the square as it turns. The square turns and turns again. We can also use squares and triangles to make a larger square and larger triangle. Watch how these 9 small squares fit into this one large square. Watch how these 9 small triangles fit into this one large triangle.
All right, boys and girls, so we're going to go ahead and start our lesson. So you are on page 661. We are composing new shapes, and we are comparing shapes. And how do we compose new shapes using the shapes we have? Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and obviously we don't have these rectangle or squares. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our crayons or pencils or whatever you guys have. So you're going to go ahead and we're going to make a large rectangle. So I'm going to make a large rectangle. I obviously don't have these squares, so I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to do a large rectangle. That is my rectangle. Remember, a rectangle is longer. It has 2 longer sides and then 2 shorter sides. And then we're going to make a large square. So I'm going to make a large square. Remember, the square has to be the same size as each side of each square has to be the same. So this has to be the same as this, and this has to be the same as this one, and this one has to be the same as this one. When you have a square, remember this, all the sides are the same size. So if you look at this square, this is the same size as this. This size is the same size as this, and this size is the same size as this. They all have 4 equal sides. Okay, so go ahead and turn your page over. Nope. All right, so we're going to go with number 1. It says you're going to use the pattern blocks shown to make a larger shape. So you're going to trace the larger shape and you're going to name the larger shape. So for example, I'm using these 2. So obviously we don't have these. If we were in the classroom, you would have these little shapes so that you can physically put them in together, connect them so that you can see the big shape. Unfortunately, we're not in the classroom, so we're going to go ahead and do whatever possible to visually see this. So if I connect these 2 shapes together, this would make a, what shape is this? Rectangle. So if I put two squares together, I will make a rectangle. Let's look over here. Number 2, if I have 4 triangles, I will make a big triangle. So let me show you how that would look. So this would be 1 triangle. Okay, so if I cut this. Okay, so this would be 1 triangle. Okay, this would be 2 triangles, and then this would be my 3rd triangle. And this one would be my 4th triangle. So if I had these shapes and I can turn them around and flip them, this would be my larger triangle. Now let's look down here. This is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 triangles, and we are gonna make a hexagon. So let's go ahead and see how we can make a hexagon. So if I had a hexagon, and I had 6 little triangles, I would make my hexagon this way. This would be 1, and then this would be 1, 2, 3. So my triangles would be 3 on the top, like that. And then it would be 3 at the bottom. I'm sorry, boys and girls. So I know we don't have the shapes with us, but what you could do is if you want to cut these shapes to put it in here, you can. If that helps you cut these shapes and then try to fix it on here, that would be great too. Okay, so let's go to number 4. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use these 6 squares and then you're gonna put it into this big rectangle. So you're gonna make a big rectangle using 6 squares. So that means that look at the ones Ms. Rojas did before. You have to use these to make this shape. So I cannot use 8 squares. I have to make sure I use 6 squares. Okay, so make sure I would do this. I would cut it in half because that would help me. So 3 would go on the top and then 3 would go on the bottom. That's how I would do it. So here you're going to create a rectangle using 3 of these squares. Okay, for number 6, you're going to use whatever shape you want to create. Actually it says 9, so you're gonna use, I would tell you just use 9 squares to create this big square. Remember the video, I kind of gave you a hint. How many squares did they use to create, little squares did they use to create this big square? Go ahead and if you need to look back at the video, you can. So then if you go to the back, 7 and 8, for number 7, you are gonna look at the rectangle and draw shapes that make up a rectangle. So, for example, you're gonna draw the shapes that make up the rectangle. So, for example, so here you're gonna look at the rectangle and draw the shapes that make up the rectangle. So 1, 2. So I'm gonna draw 1 square and then 2 square. So 2 squares make up a rectangle. Now look here at these 2 triangles. Can two triangles make a rectangle? Do you think 2 triangles make a rectangle? Put an X if the triangles on the triangles. If no, circle if you think that they can make a rectangle. So if you think that 2 triangles can make a rectangle, go ahead and put a circle if you do think so, and put an X if you think they can't. Okay, go ahead and take a picture and upload it to your Schoology.